So make sure it's not one of the 6 previous households.
Okay, let me try this again. Hello, everyone. I see, connecting. My co-chair, Representative Hashimoto, Troy Hashimoto on. Aloha, everyone, and welcome to the Kupuna Caucus meeting. We're so excited to hear from Dean of Kapiolani College, Community College Health Academic Programs, Lisa Raddick. Aloha, thank you for joining us. We are excited to hear about your programs and what you're doing for our Kupuna in the Kupuna Education Center. So the floor is yours.
Awesome. And would it be possible that I could share my screen?
I think so. We will make sure you can do that. Hold on one second.
Excellent. There we go. So can everyone see a nice little succulent plant there on the screen? Awesome.
Yes, very good.
So just a brief introduction. First of all, thank you so much for having me, and I welcome the opportunity to share a bit about our vision and how we can better address the needs of our community as a whole, specifically related to our Kupuna. So with that, just a little background. My name is Lisa Raddick, and I am the Dean for the Health Academic Programs at Kapiolani. I've been here, I'm almost completed my 3rd year here at the college. I originally came from Michigan, where I was the Dean for an educational system there. So I'm so thankful to be out of the snow and here. So let me share just a little bit with you about some vision. So there we go. So just a bit of experience, or I was able to dig up and find the original legislation that appointed the Kupuna Education Center. And so that was focused at that time, again, that was back in 2005, so a little bit different climate than what we have today. The focus was on more affordable long-term care options. So at that time, they were looking for some opportunities to provide caregiver training, but there was a lot of focus on providing options for folks to be homes for Kupuna. And then there were also the needs for some Kupuna enrichment, and it wasn't necessarily directed towards Kupuna health. It was more about enrichment. So we had ukulele, and we had some other types of courses and things like that. So due to the pandemic, we had to take a pause. Obviously, it wasn't safe for our Kupuna to gather, or for any of our community members to gather in groups and those types of things. We did a few things. We tried to do some things via Zoom, and that just didn't prove, the technology just proved to be a bit challenging. So today we know that there's a new need and some new opportunities that we have. Related to that, we received some feedback that there were some those who were not real comfortable with the use of Kupuna education. They felt it was either a bit limiting, or in some ways was not showing the respect that it should have with the word in that title. So in looking at what the needs of the community are, that's where we have changed it to more of a community health education program. So it's a bit more encompassing as far as the what we intend to provide. So the focus is going to be a bit more on training for caregivers, and we know that many times that care is provided within the home. Especially during the pandemic, we found that many wanted to keep their loved one at home as opposed to a large facility where they were in with a great multitude of others who were in a vulnerable population, and they were unable to see their family members, and the emotional toll that took on both the family and our elders. So we're trying to shift what the goal of this community health education program to focus more on rewarding and active lifestyles and keeping them at home and providing resources to help them age in safe and in place safely. So I'm not sure if any of you have ever heard about this, but there is a program out there that was started by Johns Hopkins. It's called the Capable Program. And we have this program has already been started at Manoa. And so what we're hoping to do is complement the great work that they're doing. And so again, the title, the acronym is Community Aging in Place, Advancing Better Living for Elders. Their motto is home is where the health is. And again, this isn't something that's new. It might be new to us here, but it is something that's being used across the nation to help support all elders to age at home safely. This is an interdisciplinary approach. It uses healthcare workers, individuals from the construction trades, agricultural, and I kind of elaborated on the thing. So we don't see as much as far as the agriculture and the culinary and business, but in looking at a way that we could incorporate all of our community colleges to participate in this program and provide excellent service learning opportunities for our students, we kind of have expanded a little bit on that model. So the vision is that we reimagine the Kupuna Education Center to be more inclusive and comprehensive. We would use the Capable program as kind of the basis or the foundation on which we would build what this program might look like. We would expand the scope of support. We're also hiring a new community health education program director. That recruitment is actively underway. The ad should close, I believe, next week. And then at that point, we'll start the interview process. And so various members of the campus community will be a part of that review process for the applicant. The vision for this also requires collaboration. So it's not, while it might be housed here at Kapiolani, we would be looking to collaborate with our other community colleges. We also would want to collaborate with our GWEP folks, or the University of Hawaii Center on Aging. We also know that there's a Capable program that is underway at Manoa. We would also need to partner with community agencies for referrals and determining those who are most at need to be a part of this program. And then we also have had some conversations with those from the federal agencies such as HUD, who have indicated that they would really look forward to finding out ways that they could support this initiative. So again, the services and things that you'll see that I'll kind of outline would be something that we could provide either combined services or standalone. So we know that not everyone would need all of these services. So what could we provide, and can we tailor it to the needs of the individual? So if we look a little bit at the healthcare aspect, we know that the principles of the Capable program have someone from occupational therapy actually go into the home, and they perform an evaluation and they look for safety hazards. They determine, are there needs for shower bars? Do we need ramps? Are there mobility barriers so that they're unable to, so for example, is the bathroom door wide enough that if they have to use a walker or a wheelchair, can they gain entrance into the facility so they can maintain hygiene? Are there barriers to being able to provide food, to get into the kitchen, food prep, those types of things? This could also involve physical therapist assistants who, if it's been determined that this individual might need some physical therapy to help strengthen them in some way, both occupational therapy assistants and physical therapist assistants help in that aspect. Nurse aides, it could be a service learning opportunity for the nurse aides to go into the home and perform basic nurse aid functions and basic health assessments. Community health workers, I'm sure you've heard a lot of them. They're in the news right now. We know there's legislation we're looking at community health workers. There's a lot of attention nationwide about how important and how valuable the community health workers are, because they connect our community members with the services and resources that they need to live a healthy life. Matter of Balance is a program that occupational therapy assistants would provide for the individuals. And I myself was able to witness this program in my previous experiences, where there might be individuals who are wheelchair bound or use a walker and have, so for multiple years, actually be able to be rehabilitated and strengthened so that they lose that fear of falling and they're actually able to set the walker aside and continue their mobility as they did years ago. And it's really a remarkable program. So that would be another one that we would look at it as well. And caregiver training, we know how important it is, as we said, for folks to know how to properly care for our kupuna and those who might be homebound or housebound. And then all of these individuals would also provide patient education. That's so important. So folks know what to do in all situations. How can we help them help themselves with a healthy lifestyle? Construction trades. So as we mentioned previously, the evaluation would include looking for barriers to living healthy in their home and being safe. So do we need shower bars installed? Do we need a ramp so that they can gain access to their home? So in the conversations with folks at HUD, we were able to find out that in many cases, they can provide these resources and these aids. And then we could potentially partner with, say, for example, our sister campus, Honolulu Community College, that has these construction trades. And again, so we would have our occupational therapy students go in and perform this evaluation, identify what might need to be placed within the home for safe living, partner with HUD to get, if it's a grab bar or shower bars, or there could be materials to build a ramp. Then we partner with, we could partner with our Honolulu Community College trades, and they could go into the home and perform those repairs so that folks could live there more safely. And again, like I said, this is all visionary, what it might look like. This is something that we've seen happen in other areas of the country, and it's done so very successfully. I will admit, in most cases, it's services that are provided by the state level. And so this might be a new opportunity for college to help provide these services as part of our service learning experiences for the students. So again, this is something that we're looking at and we're investigating, but we think it has real potential. With regard to agriculture, again, we want to promote healthy living and healthy lifestyle. Many times we know the barriers are, being able to get out and work in a garden, and we all know that can be backbreaking work. So is there a way that we can maybe provide raised beds or hydroponics? There's a lot of new ways that individuals can grow healthy foods for themselves without being taxing physically on their body. And again, in all areas, we want to make sure that we're keeping that theme of sustainability. We want to create something that they're able to maintain on their own and isn't extremely labor intensive. Thinking about connected to that, the culinary arts and nutrition. So we know that our culinary arts students are informed about healthy eating habits and things like that. We could also partner with our other colleges that do have nutrition courses and nutritionist programs, for example, at Manoa, where we could help educate participants on how to select quality produce, how to incorporate those things in their diet. We could also use our culinary arts program here has a food truck. So we potentially could have our food trucks go into neighborhoods and provide healthy food options using the food truck and bring the food to them. So there's opportunities there as well. And then this is one that has I will admit, kind of came to me most recently, and when I heard and was reading on the news how vulnerable our elders are with regard to predatory practices and people with regard to taxes, especially this time of year. And how can we help them recognize when they're being taken advantage of, or when someone is soliciting something from them and it's not helpful for them? Can we provide training to help them recognize those practices that it could be harmful to them? Perhaps even help with some simple estate planning, digital literacy. We know that so many things must happen through a computer, and for some that can be very challenging. And that would also tie back into the health component when we know so much of the healthcare is now provided via telehealth. And our community health workers actually have specialized training. So we could have this whole continuum of care for the individuals who are recommended or to be a part of this program. So again, this is just something that a visual that helps us see that it's not any one program that would be the main focus of this program. It's really a comprehensive approach to ensuring that we're addressing all of the aspects of someone's life so that they can live healthy and safely at home. So I tried to keep it brief, but that's just kind of the overarching idea of what this might look like. We hope to see more traction with this once we have that position hired. We will offer some training programs, as I said, to continue on with the caregiver training and the spirit behind that original legislation for this position, so that we are supporting Kupuna. We're ensuring that we're being fluid and that we're kind of bending as the palm bends in the wind. We know that things are changing and we need to be responsive to those changes. And right now, that's the focus, is knowing that not everyone is a good fit for a long-term care facility. So what can we do to help folks age at home more safely? So any questions, and I'll stop sharing now.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dean Radek. Do we have questions either in the chat box or raise your hand? Questions, anyone? I don't see anything. If not, Dean Radek, could you just kind of clarify for us, because I think the programs in the past have been for seniors, you know, helping them age in place. A number of these programs in your capable toolbox seem to be for helping either upgrade or provide training to current either people in business or in construction versus creating sort of a whole curriculum for community workers. What is the focus on your really good programming? But I'm just wondering who the beneficiaries would be.
Excellent question. So in this particular model that we're looking at, it's going to be multifaceted. So for example, we're using the opportunity that students need to have real world experience, where they will actually go out into the homes of our Kupuna. We would use a referral process from our local agencies to identify those who would need these supports. The support might take on the form of providing the elder themselves training to be healthier, perhaps so doing some exercises, things that would help strengthen them so that they are not apt to fall. We would also still include some enrichment courses. So again, whether it's digital readiness, where they would have courses related to using a computer, things that would be specific. Again, they would be able to participate in courses that perhaps our business students would provide education on, again, like you said, recognizing predatory practices. So all of those things that we were mentioning are all educational facets that would be shared with the Kupuna to help ensure that they're safe. So it would, and again, it would take on multiple elements of what makes them safe at home. So not only would they be receiving healthcare opportunities for training and courses to be healthier, they would also be able to have courses that teach them how to prepare food if they have mobility issues. You know, something, if you were able to stand at a stove for years ago and now you can no longer do that, how can you still live at home and cook for yourself, but do it in a safe manner? And that's what our occupational therapy assistant students do. They already have an on-ground camp clinic, and we do some of this. We're just hoping to expand on that, so they will actually share them with a broader group.
And are all of these programs up and running, or are they to be up and running?
Some are in place already. So for example, our occupational therapy assistant students, they have already gone into homes and done home evaluations. We just haven't we have things going on in pockets. There's just not been an overarching process where these are all married together so that they work together seamlessly. Everything's been kind of done in fragmented ways. So this is the whole goal of this, is to put this all together in one comprehensive program, so that we're meeting not only the needs of Kupuna, but we're meeting the needs of their caregivers so that they know how to properly care for them. And again, you know, I'm a huge advocate of making sure that folks have the resources necessary to make their home a safe place to live. It was an issue with my mother-in-law, and so she fell and was on the floor for several hours before anyone knew it. It was simply because a defect in her home. And so that's near and dear to my heart, to make sure that the homes are safe.
Thank you. So I've got a number of people with their hands up. I'm going to start with Donald Sakamoto, then Rick Tabor, then Tony H. But first, Donald.
Yes, thank you, Senator Murawaki. Donald Sakamoto. I just have a concern. My mom died couple years ago, and she fell and was on the floor. And I was lucky I was home, but like you said, if somebody falls, a kapuna, even myself, and I don't have a life alert, is there a system where we can have electronic devices where we can press to get emergency EMS or whatever to come to your home when you're alone? And is there some kind of funding to offset the cost for this expensive device or agency that does this? That's my question.
I see Dr. Hayashi Akala, and you have an answer to that question?
Yeah, well, with regards to that particular question on medical alert equipment, I ran a medical alert company for about 15 years in Hawaii. As far as technology is concerned, it is possible to work with Medicaid, and because right now it is a reimbursable service under Medicaid. Medicare does not cover that, and HMSA does not. The out-of-pocket cost is relatively reasonable. Well, right now, it could run around $35 a month. But there's also other technologies that are coming out with, the smartphones and the other kinds of devices. What did they call that with Google? Alex and that sort of thing, but in any case, as far as your question is concerned on the reimbursable on the cost part, it would have to be Medicaid at this point.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you to Rick Tabor.
Yeah, so it sounds like a great program you're putting together here. So how will folks pay for it? Is it Medicaid, Medicare, out of pocket, insurance? What are you thinking to payment?
Because this is the vision is that we would get support for the physical things that would need to be installed in the homes through perhaps HUD, because I know HUD has some funds for that. The rest of the work, I'm doing some work to ensure that our students already have liability insurance. So if the work is being done by students as part of either a course and or service learning, there would be essentially no cost to the individual. The tricky part will be we have to partner with certain agencies that help us limit and determine the process of those most in need, because that's obviously who we want to service, those who don't have access or the funds to get these repairs and maintenance and support in any other way. That's the part that this new employee, I'm really hoping that they can work with industry partners. How do we determine those who are most in need? And again, we'll have only a certain number that we'll be able to address in any given semester. So that selection process and that filtering process, that's yet to be determined. But of course, our focus will be on those who are most in need, who don't have any other ways, they fall through the cracks. We all know that. There's agencies to help with much of this, but some folks just don't meet the criteria in one way or another. And then we need to really depend on our agency partners. How do we determine those who are most in need? So we won't be able to do this for everyone, but what I'm hoping is that maybe this will be a proof of concept that could be used to broaden care across the state, and perhaps it's something that the state could implement in the future once we've done this and we have proof of concept that it's successful.
Thank you, Tony.
Hi, so my name is Tony Hathaway, and I actually worked with Colin at the Kupuna Education Center when it first started. And I'm actually quite excited to hear about the Capable program that you're thinking of doing. Some of you may be very surprised to hear that this is actually going back to many of the original mission and programs that we ran, because we trained thousands of family caregivers and home care workers, and we worked with your OT assistant and PT assistant program. But that sort of went away for many years, which was very, very disappointing, because that's the population that just is so in need of our help. So I'm very glad to see that you might, I think you might want to look a little further back into the history. We used the Schmieding program, which was one of the best at the time for training family caregivers and home care workers. I do have a question about if you're going to be doing, one of the things that was in the original mission, and it was, it's always difficult, and it was difficult for us, but was to expand to the neighbor islands. And we were beginning to do that. And we had done some programs on the neighbor islands. It's always challenging, but again, they have the same needs that we have here. And that was part of the original mission too.
And I'm happy to speak to that. So for example, our community health worker program, you may have heard of the number of students and graduates that we've had up from that program. The Department of Health had the grant that they provided to UH, and it was primarily for contact tracing. We had contact tracing offered at Manoa and at UH West Oahu, but the third arm of that contract was for us to provide education for community health workers. So we made that program statewide. It's delivered via online. All students do have a work experience. And we did our best to align with the percentages of population by county. And what I mean by that is we took the overall population of the state of Hawaii. We looked at the individual populations by island or county. And we recruited students to match that number percentage. So we have students across the state now. They're all trained community health workers across all islands. So the other piece that we have related to that, we have a Perkins grant underway that for 5 of our allied health programs, they're working on creating a distance education model. Now it's typically going to be hybrid because we know health programs have a real heavy hands-on component. But the goal is to keep the students on the neighbor island where they live to go through these courses, because we all know if they come to Oahu, many times they don't go back to their communities where we need them to stay. So that is underway. So that's a 3-year grant. So hopefully within the next 3 years, you're going to see that more students will be trained on neighbor islands within these professions. So as we do that concurrent to this, once we get this program up and running and have kind of created that structure for Oahu, then we can replicate it on the other islands, keeping in mind that it's going to be a bit more limited because we don't have all the trades and things taught on all the neighbor islands like we do on Oahu. So we'll still be able to do this to a certain extent, but we will have some limitations. But that's not to say that we couldn't have the students do what they can and the colleges provide what they can, and then reach out to local agencies that could maybe make up that difference. Like, for example, if we identify individuals that need the grab bars or the shower bars or those types of things, sometimes that home assessment piece is the missing piece of the puzzle to get those needs met. So if we could still provide that home assessment piece and then have our community health workers work with the agencies that do provide that support, we're hoping that we can expand it that way.
I have just 2 comments. One is I do really strongly support that you get the hands-on programs up and running, because that's so important for folks. And the second is I have looked at the community healthcare worker curriculum, and it's I would say it's very weak in gerontology and working with elders. So if that's a program that you wanted to use for part of the Kupuna Education Center on the neighbor islands, and it was going to work with elders, I would suggest that you add some much stronger content in that area, because it's mostly oriented towards substance abuse and mental health and sort of general health, and it doesn't really address working with elders and their caregivers.
So yeah, I'm so glad that you mentioned that. So I'm going to share my screen again here once I find what I'm working on here. So we work with our GWEP partners. So while you don't see it in the curriculum, We actually worked with Catholic Charities and the Alzheimer's Association, and they created and contributed to these modules. And we actually built it in this. What you're looking at is what we call La Lima. This is our learning management system, how we offer courses to our students. So with this geriatric education, students can go through, we actually have different modules. So this, for example, module 1 is healthy brain aging and dementia. And there's a little checklist that talks about what the learning outcomes are. There are little tests, there's resources, presentations, videos, all sorts of things. And we have it for healthy brain aging and dementia, depression, and delirium, non-medication strategies for dementia behaviors, medication use in the elderly, and advanced care planning and advanced directives. And then the last one is caregiver support. So we actually have this created in such a way that any of our health programs have access to these modules, and they can use them to supplement their patient care courses. And we're also integrating it into our community health worker curriculum.
Great. I'm really glad to see that.
Thank you. Colin?
Well, let's see now. Just by way of background, this was an effort that took about 3 years of working with Senator Baker. And so she was quite insistent on us reaching over to the neighbor islands, which we hadn't done after 2 years, but we were, as Tony mentioned, trying to move in that direction. But there were, three focuses that we had, three focus. One was family caregiver training, one was paraprofessional training, not just CNAs, but what we were trying to do was recognize that there's an explosion of older adults and that we needed to create additional types of training from the CNA level downwards towards the personal care assistants, the home care assistants, and the companion aids even, so we were looking for a kind of graded type of training and made that more available to all the home care agencies that were coming on to the, to the scene. So this is so that was a second area. And the third had to do with active aging. We've got these great numbers of older adults that are retiring now. They've got 20 to 30 additional years to live, but oftentimes they don't know what to do with their lives. And so the focus was not just on aging as sick care, but aging as well care, aging as someone, aging as an opportunity to engage, to remain healthy, but to contribute and to continue to contribit back into the community. So how do we change the the focus from sick care to well care as well? Because this represents Hawaii's fastest growing natural resource in a sense. If we don't somehow take advantage of this population that are simply retiring and sitting home and channel surfing, it's a huge waste of human resource in terms of these are people that have skills and talents and experience and time and money to remain independent. But if we don't have them somehow marshaled and used for the greater good, it's a huge loss for our community. So that was another target that we were working on, and we were just getting started on that area. So there's a lot of things. What I saw basically, this whole focus on capacity, the capable model, I think is a good one. But it seems like there's much more, as Senator, as you pointed out, seems like an embellishment of the existing health services department rather than a more focused attempt at trying to address the needs of older adults, which was what the Kupuna Education Center was trying to do. That's my thoughts.
Do you want to respond to that or move on?
Yes, so the Capable program, as I said, is multifaceted. And so much of what you were talking about would include enrichment courses and things that would be of value to them as they age. And I agree wholeheartedly, especially as we have folks living longer, what types of things can we provide for them? And so again, my immediate goals are related to getting the capable program up and running and addressing the health disparities. That's my focus right now, because we are in a healthcare workforce crisis. So that has been my main priority. That's not to say that
Are there going to be programs, as Colin has suggested, for keeping the healthy healthy and aging, healthy and engaged from some of those programs? I mean, is it going to be like an arm of
right.
your program?
There'll definitely be enrichment courses involved, and we had some in the past, and they were very good. Again, some of them were related to digital readiness. That's something that we have right now, where they're able to learn how to use computers and how that would impact their daily life. Can they perform, again, the healthy eating and growing and participating? I know there were hula courses and things like that, ukulele lessons, and those types of things that would keep them engaged. But what I found in the short time that I've been here is that we really need to do better about seeking what they want. So I think many times it was we did what we thought others wanted to do. But once this program is up and running and we have someone full-time in that, then their charge is going to be, let's see what our community wants. What does the community, what do they want? What kind of courses are they asking for and wanting? And so rather than us telling them what they need, we really need to take a step back and actually ask them, what do they need? And what are they desiring to help make their lives more fulfilling?
Okay, I see Leigh Lermont with her hand up. Leigh,
hi. Okay, I'm speaking in terms of a community senior. And there are a lot of programs I'm finding out, to help the Kupunas, the seniors. But how do you get the information to the community so that they're aware that there are these programs? Because when I talk to people, they hear from someone else, they heard from someone else, and I wonder whether there couldn't be a method of communicating. Like, do I call the state? Do I call the city? Do I call AARP? Who do I call? Or, some kind of way of communicating to the community so they know that these services are available.
That's a really good point, and one that when I first arrived, and would be prior to the pandemic, that was actually a challenge that we had even at that time, is that things were on the website, but not everyone may have had a computer or had access to the website or didn't know about it. And so that was actually something we had just started investigating, and then the pandemic hit and things kind of shut down. So since then, just thinking about it, not actually having opportunity to put any of these in action yet, my thought was, again, I think that those partner agencies and our community health workers are going to be really a critical part of this, because they're the ones that work with all different agencies that provide all different types of support. So if we can partner with all of the agencies, and then they can share the word and the message about the courses that we're offering and the enrichment opportunities, I think we can reach a broader audience that way. And so we know that there are more people using computers now, which is good, but we know there's still a few out there that may not be as computer literate and might need some that one-on-one support. So my challenge is going to be, how do I do both? How do I ensure that we have the timely information out there in a digital format that so many are looking for now, but we're also addressing the needs of those who might not be as digital literate and might need some hands-on support. So I think that the key is going to be working with our partner agencies in the communities to find out how best to get that message out to them so that they know what's available.
I see Donald Sakamoto with his hands up again. Donald, you have another question?
Yes, Sharon, Senator Sharon Meraki, Donald Sakamoto again. As a blind Kupuna for some years now, I was blind when I was young, just became a Kupuna myself. I went to Ho'opono, a state agency for the blind, to go to the New Visions program and learn everything to be independently, to do cooking, computer, braille, etc., mobility. My concern is the senior blinds, as they get glaucoma and other eye conditions and they lose eyesight. Ho'opono has two case people that go out and help the senior blind, but one just retired I just want to make sure that, the agency is up to par so they can help seniors here on Oahu and on the neighbor islands. And that should be looked at as a possible solution to help those especially on the neighbor islands. I think the legislature should look at more funding for that for the blind seniors too. So that's just a food for thought. Thank you.
Thank you.
I
And
don't know if you've heard, President Biden has set aside funds specific for expanding community health workers and have them be a reimbursable support for different agencies and things like that. Right now in the state of Hawaii, there is no required credential, which is being looked at right now. But that just to let you know that thankfully the president has identified the critical need for those community health workers or patient navigators, as they are sometimes called, and that hopefully we're going to see that become a reimbursable position within different organizations. And that's been the huge challenge is right now community health workers are not reimbursable by insurance. So we want those supports from them, but there's no way for our agencies to collect on what they have to charge and pay for those individuals. So hopefully that's some good news in that realm.
I see someone, I don't know who, 826-01606. You have your hand up. If you can unmute yourself if you have a question.
Hi, yes, this is Deborah Brayman. Thank you very much for taking my call. I have a question. As far as seniors that don't have a computer, I know a couple of people that don't, but they do watch Olelo and different public channels on television. So that might be one avenue that you could reach out to people that do not have a computer. I know they're not even interested in getting one. The second question is, are you planning on giving some people about being safe online from predators and staying away from, bogus websites, etc., so that they can be safe, and also for caregivers coming into the home so that they know to keep personal information put away? Thank you.
Yeah, that is one that, like I said, that one actually occurred to me just recently to include the use of perhaps business students to provide that education and training. We all know that that's becoming increasingly a problem, and those predatory practices are just running rampant, and they come up with new ideas every day. So I think it's really important that we incorporate business students in this plan as well, because they're going to have the most contemporary knowledge about the new scams and schemes that are out there. So that's why I'm anxious to have students be a part of this, because you never know, some of the greatest ideas have come from our students who've seen a great need, and it wasn't until they did a service learning project that they understood the gravity of that need. So I think that's my answer, is that I would really like to see our business students take an active role in that process, because they are going to be aware of, the cybersecurity students and things like that. They will be most aware of what things to watch for.
I just want to respond to Donald Sakamoto. Senator San Buenaventura has a chat item saying that the Deafblind Task Force has bills moving to help increase services for neighbor island residents. So you might want to check on the legislative website on those bills so that you can support that, because the legislators like to hear from the community, and the more support we can get, the more likely the bills will pass. So just to let everyone know on the Zoom today. So I'll go back to Colin Hayashida.
Yeah. Another area that we were very concerned about was with the growing numbers of older adults that are frail and disabled and chronically ill, was the use of care homes for nursing home care. And that occurred many years ago, and it took several years of working with the federal government, for all the reimbursement. But now that is in place, what is very important right now is to make certain that there is good continuing education And that's, so one of the things that we were doing was we did provide paraprofessional training, which the care homes, particularly the care homes that were capable or licensed to assume nursing home level care, did not have to take anymore. But what they did need was continuing education, which was very sloppily provided throughout the community. You know, if they found some kind of advertisement or some kind of flyer somewhere, they'd pick it up and, you know, go it and get somebody to speak about something and then have it signed on that flyer. And so it was kind of done in a kind of a half, you know, not very well. So what we were trying to do at KCC was to try to create good, high quality continuing education that was legally required for these care homes and the ones that are nursing home licensed. It was an enormous task because of the numbers that were involved. You know, we've got 500 care homes in Hawaii alone. So we worked with a company in California, in San Mateo, to create the online structure for that. So we were just about ready to do that when, you know, things sort of didn't happen. It sort of just came to a screeching halt. We didn't get the kind of support that we needed from administration. But this is another area I think that's going to be very important if we're going to be able to assure our community that when we send our mom and dads over to the small care homes and the care homes that are licensed for nursing home care, that they are getting good quality continuing education. This is a role I think that is very, very helpful for the community colleges to play.
So maybe, Colin, I suggest that you get together with Dean Raddick. You have a number of good ideas, so you might connect if you haven't already.
I was going to thank him for bringing that up because it's so timely. As you know, we have the adult residential care home operator program. It's in collaboration with our nursing department, but we know that it needs some updating. So I'm actually meeting next week with Justin Lamb from the Hawaii Department of Health. He's in the Office of Healthcare Assurance. And so we were actually going to be talking about the current curriculum and the expectations, but you've given me an additional agenda item. So now I will add on to that what kind of continuing education he would like to see that goes along with that certification. So we offer that. So anyone who is a CNA, and that's registered, an LPN or an RN, can take, it's a series of 4 courses right now. We're going to probably adjust that a bit, but right now it's a series of 4 courses that they can take, and they can actually open their own home. And so, like you said, while we were focused on updating to the current standards and determining who best should teach those courses, the MQs we would expect to see with someone teaching that, you've just given me a new agenda item, and that's to ask about what would be the expectation for continuing education. Would it be the whole series again after so many years? Would it be just, you know, certain items or elements? So thank you for bringing that up, and perfect timing because I'm meeting with him next week.
Yeah, so there's a whole.
I'm gonna have to cut you off, Colin. But can you, Dean Raddick, because we're running out of time. Can you put your email address here? And I see Tony also has some items to discuss. And if you learn something, we could bring it in and to let others know what you folks discuss. But we are getting close to the hour, and I just want to cover some bills that are still alive in the legislature. But it's been thank you so much for joining us, Dean Raddick, and for this very lively conversation. And if you could put your email address, oh, you did. Okay, so your email address is there. So I would hope that the conversation continues, but thank you so much.
I do as well. Thank you so much. And I'm certainly open to any suggestions that you have. And I appreciate the historical perspective. That's very helpful.
Thank you. Aloha. Okay, really quickly, if Charles will put on the screen, I wanted to give you an update of where we are in our legislation. We're doing pretty well. In fact, we were doing well in our Kupuna Caucus bill. Let me say that SB 2676, HB 1824, that is the long-term care ombudsman. The governor had 2 positions in the budget. We have been able to keep in the budget And so we will have 5 positions for the long-term care ombudsman, if nothing else happens as we go along, but it is now in the budget. So you won't see the bills anymore. The bills are not necessary. 2677, I have been in touch with Representative Luke. She will hear the rent supplement bill. We're trying to get funds to help our Kupuna with more money in the rent supplement program. HB 1826, which is the HPHA, oh wait, I'm sorry. Those are SB 2678, the State Health Insurance Assistance Program. We've been told by Representative Luke. I talked with her. She said she will hear this bill. So that is moving along. So when you see it up in finance, just send in some testimony in support. And so the Senate bill is the bill that's moving. So the House bill you won't see anymore. It's not going to be heard in the Senate. We all look to one bill now because we're getting to the short strokes. So SB 2679, the driver's license renewal period. That is Senate Bill 2679. That's the vehicle that we're using. We have moved it on. House bill, the House has passed it out, so we are going to conference unless they agree with the language that is now there in the bill. House Bill 1823 is the vehicle for the Our Care, Our Choice Act, and it added in the physician assistants, and it is moving along in House Bill 1823. It's either going to be agreed to by the Senate or the House with the Senate bill that went back to them, or we go to conference, but it is alive and well. So some of the bills that didn't make it through, you see there in gray. The Healthy Aging Partnership, unfortunately, is dead for this year. The Office of Healthcare Assurance, we're trying to lift the ceiling. I don't know, Rep Hashimoto, whether you know that it's in the budget, but I think this bill also did not make it through. Do you know whether it's in the House? I didn't see it at all. So I think the cap, I don't think the cap got lifted.
Got to keep working on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and SB 3113, I'm leaving to, it's in the House, and we were trying to get it re-referred because it wasn't heard by House Health Committee. I'm not sure whether finance will, it's a little complicated process. It has to be re-referred to a single committee, which would be finance. And I've left it to Executive Office on Aging to see whether it can be re-referred and heard in finance. So, but the money is there for Kupuna caregivers and Kupuna care in the budget. SB 3289, the Retired Savings Program, that is moving along in finance. It's going to be heard again on April 6th. So that is where we are today. Any questions of either Representative Hashimoto or myself on these bills? I think we're in good shape.
Can you talk about the hearing aid bill a little bit?
Hi.
Hearing aid that fell off?
Moving. It's alive. It's moving.
Yeah.
It
Okay.
was not a Kupuna Caucus bill, but we passed it in
Right.
CPN, and yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Joy. Any other bills of interest to any of you? Okay, well, keep following these bills. I think they're in the last committee already. So next week, we're going to have finance and ways and means, primarily hearing the bills, judiciary as well. So we can see where they actually fare, but they seem to be moving along. Joy, do you have anything else from the Senate? Because you have Human Services and Health.
So a lot of bills that look like they're dead, it's because that we may be incorporating the money portion into the budget. Okay, so like the Kupuna Caregiver, you know, all that is really flexibility for Office of Aging, right? It's not increased funding. So the funding, as Senator Moriwaki said, is already there. The healthy aging, I think when you start doing the flexibility kind of thing, it'll probably be funded as part of this overall flexibility that Office of Aging wants, instead of separate funding. But if not, we can fund it next year. But I have good feeling that a lot of these bills that don't look like they're moving, that are Kupuna Caucus bills, it's not moving because it is added into like the budget. Okay, so don't feel bad about it. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, keep watching. Okay. Any other questions? Thanks, Joy. Any other questions? Okay, we've got a couple minutes. We are on time. Oh, Donald, you have a question? You have to unmute yourself.
Senator Sharon Moriwaki, Donald Sakamoto again.
Yes.
I'd like to thank you for last month when I brought that question or concern about the statewide mobility transportation task force we did in 2014, 2015, and you contacting the Executive Office of Aging Honolulu. I did get a phone call soon afterwards on March 7th from Philip Anna of the Executive Office's agent, inquiring about the mobility task force documents, as well as Senate bill that didn't pass during 2015 and 2016 session. So kudos for you for contacting them, and hopefully we can get some funding and have this most important transportation for our elderly Kupuna on the neighbor islands too.
Thank you for bringing it to our attention. And I see Caroline Caderao on. So she is with the Executive Office on Aging, so she may have something else to say. Unmute yourself, Caroline. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Senator. I just had an announcement, but
Okay.
But thank you, Donald, for your kind words about Philip.
So you have an announcement,
Oh.
Caroline?
Yes, I just wanted to share that our SMP is going to be holding a caregiver series that starts on April 14th, I believe. And I can send out, if you don't already have it, the information on how to register for that.
Okay.
I already have it. It may have already been in the announcements, but I just wanted to share that.
Did we send it out? Did you give us some kind of flyer we can just forward to everybody?
I will double check. Thank you.
And one more question that you can answer if Dean Raddick is still there is that KCC Kupuna Education Center had general funds for 2 years when the center was closed, or I guess during the pandemic. And just what happened to those funds, and are they available for use? It was like $250 a year.
Yeah, we don't have actual funds. We have positions. And so the position, the previous program director, that position has been vacated since the onset of the pandemic. She moved on. Her contract was not renewed. We have a 0.5 position that's administrative support, and that position was reallocated during the pandemic to support our nursing program. But other than that, we don't have any actual funds earmarked for that in the center.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions? I want to thank everyone. I think next month we're going to take a break and come back in June, the first Friday in June, if that is okay with everyone, unless you really want to meet. Okay, then. With that, aloha everyone, and keep in touch by email.